All right, this lesson's pretty valuable. This lesson's about bends. When we're talking about licks, we've already talked about slides, hammer-ons, pull-offs, etc. So, anyways, bends are probably one of the most complicated things to get down when it comes to playing individual notes, solos. There's just so many different ways you can bend. Okay, so what you're doing when you're bending is you're bending to a higher note. Okay, you're basically creating more tension, which when you create more tension on the guitar, that pitch actually goes up. So right here, for example, let's say I'm bending this note. What's this note? It's the ninth fret right here. And when you're bending, I want you to think of it in terms of not as if you're bending the string, but as if that note is actually 2 notes higher. Because usually in bends, I mean, there's a million different type of bends out there, and it depends on how hard you bend it. But most of the time when people are bending, they're trying to go up to that note 2 notes higher. Okay, that's called a full step or a whole step. Okay? And how you can make sure you're bending properly is you match it up to that note two frets higher. That's right about so that's right about on. See, if I were to go right there, I'm not quite there. You want to match the tone. So I'm right there. Now let's say I want to do a half step bend. And this is popular if, let's say, I go down to the pentatonic, and that whole scale right there. Well, a lot of times they bend that note, and that's a half step bend right there. It's not a full step bend. There it is. Sometimes I even have to find it. So a half step bend would be not. See, I'm just bending it a little bit so that it's the same as playing that fret right there. The note is the same. I'm bending that note up to the next fret. Perfect. That's the best way to practice that. Now when we talk about bends, this finger's doing the bending. However, you do have some support fingers, okay? So these 2 fingers I actually use a little bit for support. So the only finger that's really doing the bend is this, but these 2 are also kind of supporting it. So how you kind of, get the feel of that is put all 3 fingers on 1, 2, let's say 3 frets in a row, okay? And you want to make sure you focus your pressure on that ring finger fret, okay? So focus your pressure, and it makes it a lot easier. And I'll also take my thumb, put my thumb right here, and that way I can even give it a little wiggle at the end, which gives it vibrato, which I'll go into later. But how you practice that is go all over the fretboard, and let's say, okay, we'll start right here, okay? So we'll take this bend, and we'll first bend. Let's practice whole step bends, okay? So we're gonna bend up 2 frets up. Okay, so that sounds good right there. So I'm bending properly. Now let's go to the next one. That. I think you get the point. You can do that all over. How some people bend too is depending on where you are on the fretboard. Some people bend away from themselves. I like to bend towards myself no matter where I am, unless I guess I'm on this low E, because if you do, you're going to go off the fretboard. But so I would always kind of practice bending towards yourself. Gives you more control. And later, when I go into vibrato, this is the toughest part I think out of all these licks, is adding the right amount of vibrato. So listen. So you're bending up a full step, but you're wiggling it at the end. And that's to simulate almost someone singing, okay? You're kind of, this happens in music a lot, you're almost imitating a voice when you give that vibrato. Okay? So you can even do that, practice the vibrato the same way we just did the bends. So okay, so those are the different types of bends out there. Bends take a long time to get down. Yeah, it's just nonstop practice. You got to always practice these things and work them into your regular repertoire and really get them down. I Hammer-ons and pull-offs usually don't take that long. I'd say they probably take, if you're practicing every day for a couple minutes, I'd say 3 months and you can have them down really good. Make sure you practice with your metronome. But when it comes to bends is more without a metronome, just sitting there and making sure you can match the tone, whether it's a half step 1 fret or a whole step 2 frets up from the note that you're on. So that's the best way to practice bends that I was taught. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Check out my website, GuitarMadeEZ.com. And also check out my new ebook. It's $5. It's everything that I've learned up until this point playing guitar. So I've kind of learned the hard way. When I started off, I didn't take any lessons. I bought a Spanish guitar from a friend in high school. At the beginning of high school, and basically I learned with my guitar and my opposite knee. My techniques were horrible, and so I had to correct all that stuff. And I learned the hard way. So I'm trying to save you guys all that time and all that effort and money. I've spent thousands of dollars on all kinds of gear, and I've pinpointed it down to the best gear that's out there for me and for, I believe, for most people. So, anyways, check out my book. It's $5. Let me know what you think. Yeah, and I will see you guys in the next lesson. Take care.